The Project Workbench.
Walter, earlier when you came in, you mentioned something about your archives that you just put on YouTube. What's that all about?
Well, I was initially very flattered until I found out that there's 350,000 archives of actors. No, I don't know how many are, but there's a lot. And I think they want to get you just before you kick off. So, so this is for the arts and television arts and sciences, their archives. And I spent about 4 hours with them, 3 or 4 hours, talking about my whole life, you know, rambling about everything that went on. Being arrested by the FBI for being a procurer of women for interns.
This interests me. This is a guilty or innocent? Guilty as charged?
Innocent.
Oh, okay.
Innocent.
Never mind. Let's move on. Okay, so.
Yeah, I was, you know, I think that might have been an interesting thing, if that had been true. My brother was an intern, and there was an empty room in this massive Quonset hut where all the interns lived. So I stayed there while I was going to college. And then I got stopped, and guys in green uniforms with the federal police came and they took me away, and I went to the chief of the detective's office, and there's a guy from the FBI, and somebody had been spreading this rumor that I was providing women, and I didn't even have a girlfriend. I mean, it was so pathetic.
Well, there are worse things to be accused of. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, if you're going to get busted for something,
Right. Yeah.
a procurer of ladies is
Yeah. The worst thing was that it was one main hall, and all the rooms fed off that hall. And I'd go by the rooms at night, and I'd hear, oh, baby, ooh, you know, I'd hear all these noises, and it was driving me crazy. I couldn't bear it. It was torture for me. Because I was this celibate jerk. So when they said to me, you know, was I a procurer of women? It was a mixture of tears and laughter when I responded.
I guess if one was a procurer of women, the first one you would procure would be for oneself.
Yeah, you got to try them out.
Right. You don't want to be working with faulty merchandise. Absolutely. Right. This is good. This is very educational for me. I appreciate your insight. So this all comes out in the archive?
You know, this is a story reserved for you guys.
Oh, that is a special treat. That was fantastic.
I didn't tell that story.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Is that something you tell at conventions when people say, what's your greatest story? You're like, let me sit down, let me tell you.
I might have told it a one or two, but not really a lot. Not because I have any objection to doing so. It's just that...
To procuring women? Oh, telling the story. Right, okay, right.
It's just that I guess when I'm asked those questions, I gravitate towards stories that they can relate to, you know. And that's not to say that...
So Star Trek people wouldn't understand women? Is that where you're going?
I know you were going there.
Yeah. Well, of course, fair enough. They want to hear about what happened on set and the craft service table with Shatner and, yeah.
I do tell a story, and I've been telling it for years. When I was at the neighborhood playhouse, the professional drama school in New York, among my classmates were Dabney Coleman, James Caan, and Christopher Lloyd. And I had no money. I was living on $75 a month. I was working at Mount Sinai in New York for 97 cents an hour. And it was a 2-year curriculum, and then I was going to have to go out and earn a living. And I knew that I'd probably come back to LA, and I need a car, so I needed to get some money fast.
Sure.
And so I devised this rather operatic scene that I hired a witness to. It wasn't any of these fellows in my class who said they wouldn't do it, and I asked them all. They wouldn't do it. But I got somebody from the class below me. It was a beat poet. He's the guy that introduced me to pot. And his name was Moondoggy, I think.
Okay.
I think that's what his name was. And I said, you know, I'll give you $100 if you watch me have this accident. So he said, okay. So the idea was, I had a friend who worked in construction who I had known since I was like 8 or 9 years old. We met for lunch. He gave me this 8-pound rivet. You know, because I'd asked him, is it possible for one of these things to fall off and hit somebody in the street. And he said, yeah, it could happen. So he gave me this. I stuck it under my jacket, my jacket, in my armpit. I went into the bar right next door. I cut my face with a razor blade. I know, really, really a little dumb. And I had a newspaper. So I threw away the razor blade, and I came out of the bathroom and with the newspaper up to my face, you couldn't see the blood. And Hugh, my eyewitness, was supposed to walk behind me, see this, and scream for help, you know. He panicked. He's this cruel guy, you know, and all this other stuff. And where did the hole in the donut go? I mean, this poetry was really, really pretty thought-provoking. And instead of walking in front of me, instead of walking behind me, he walked in front of me. So I had to capture his attention as well as the people who were walking by. So I screamed, "Ah!" And I fell down. You know, the rivet dropped out of my clothes. The blood is pouring down my cheek. And Hugh was going, "Somebody do something! Just don't stand there!" Oh my God, it was the worst performance of all time. And I was crying for real now, because I couldn't bear that I was going to be identified with this guy. But it worked. I went to see a doctor, and I got an attorney, and I made a few $100s. But he was so excited. He said, "Well, we can do this in Chicago, we can do this in Boston, we can do this all over the country." I said, "No, I just wanted to do it once, get a few bucks, and be able to buy a car." The neat thing about the story is, like 15 years later, I was at a party in New York, or in the East, and some guy came up to me, 15 years later, came to me and said, "Did this happen to you?" And I said, "Yeah, how do you know?" He says, it's a story that's been passed down generation to generation at the neighborhood playhouse. So I made my mark in history.
And just to clarify, you did get the car, yes?
I got the car. It was a
nice car?
No, it was it was an English Anglia. I spent as much money fixing it as I did buying it. I carried a teapot in the car because it was always overheating.
Does it turn out that the car that you drove to your final reading for your part on Star Trek was that car?
No. I only had that car for 6 months.